A high school political science teacher in Germany named Rainer Wenger is assigned by his principal to run a week-long project on autocracy. Autocracy is a system where absolute power rests with one person or group, with no legal limits and no control from the people. Rainer is not happy about it. His real expertise is anarchism, an ideology that opposes all forms of government oppression. But there is no other teacher available, so he has no choice but to accept. Besides teaching, Rainer also coaches the school water polo team. 3 of his players are in the class: Marco, Sinan, and Sinan's close friend Bomber. The rest of the class includes Lisa, Mona, Kevin, Tim, a quiet kid who secretly sells drugs to his classmates, and Caro, who is Marco's girlfriend and known for questioning everything. On Monday, Rainer starts the lessons. Most of the students are skeptical about the whole topic. Germany already lived through Nazi rule, so they figure they understand the dangers of dictatorship well enough and could never fall for it again. To make the project more interesting, Rainer turns it into a live experiment. He builds a simulation of an autocratic system with himself acting as the dictator. He introduces the first rules right away. Everyone has to address him as Herr Wenger, meaning Mr. Wenger, and students must stand up whenever they want to speak. Kevin hates the idea immediately and walks out, trying to drag Sinan and Bomber with him. But both boys are afraid of failing the course, so they return to their seats. Rainer explains that the standing rule is not random. He claims standing improves blood circulation and helps students stay focused. He then asks what social conditions allow a dictatorship to rise. The answers come fast. Lisa points to high unemployment and inequality. Tim believes severe inflation could push a society toward autocracy. Caro argues that disappointment with the government makes people idolize a strong leader who promises to fix everything, even if that leader later turns on them. Mona adds that extreme nationalism and blind patriotism can drag a country the same way. The class actually enjoys the discussion, and no one is more excited than Tim. That small first day is how it all begins. This is the wave. After school, Tim is so thrilled that he tells his parents everything, but his father barely reacts and his mother says nothing. Caro's mother also disapproves once she hears about the autocracy topic. Meanwhile, Rainer talks over the class with his wife Anka, who teaches at the same school, and mentions how Kevin stormed out. On Tuesday, Rainer is surprised to see the students still calling him Mr. Wenger. He pushes the experiment further. He has them march in place in perfect sync, both to make them feel energized and united, and to deliberately disturb the anarchism class on the floor below, which most of them find boring. Then he rearranges the seating and pairs strong students with weaker ones so they help each other, believing cooperation will make the class outperform everyone else. Mona thinks the whole thing is embarrassing and disagrees, but the rest of the class is hooked. During lunch, several students from the anarchism class ask to transfer in because Rainer's class is far more exciting. Rainer is no longer just teaching autocracy. He is building a small working version of it, a group united under one leader with himself at the center. Later, he asks what creates a strong group identity. Lisa suggests uniforms so social differences disappear. Mona counters that everyone looking the same kills individuality. Sinan offers a compromise. Instead of expensive uniforms, they all wear cheap clothes anyone can afford. Rainer likes it and settles on a white shirt and blue jeans, encouraging students to lend clothes to anyone who cannot buy them. Tim takes it to an extreme and burns his branded clothes at home, convinced that expensive labels only create division. By Wednesday, Caro is the only student refusing the uniform, simply because she does not feel comfortable in a white shirt. Even more students transfer over from the anarchism class. Mona finally has enough and transfers out completely. Rainer holds a vote to name the group, and Marco's suggestion wins. The Wave. After noticing Sinan's graffiti skills, Rainer asks him to design an official logo. The students throw themselves into spreading the movement. They build a website and social media pages and start making pins and stickers. The group grows tighter and more loyal. When bullies target Tim, Bomber and Sinan step in to defend him. But not everyone is happy. Marco and Caro keep fighting over the class and the growing influence of the Wave. And Caro even drops out of the school drama rehearsals over it. Then Tim adds the image of a gun to the group logo, a small change that hints at how seriously he is starting to take all of this. Soon, Wave stickers and symbols appear all over town, turning a school project into vandalism. The strange part is that Rainer has no idea any of this is happening. Around this time, Kevin decides to rejoin the Wave. At home, Anki grows uneasy. The matching uniforms and the way other teachers are talking about her husband bother her. Meanwhile, Tim goes even further. Determined to make the Wave famous, He climbs an unfinished building and paints a giant version of the logo, while Kevin and others film him. The police show up. Everyone else flees, but Tim is already inside the building and avoids getting caught. Thursday is day 4, with only one day left. By now, the wave even has its own salute, a hand gesture shaped like a rolling wave. After class, Caro warns Rainer that the project is spiraling out of control and has gone far beyond an experiment. Rainer brushes her off and tells her to just leave the class if she dislikes it. The principal privately supports Rainer, since many parents say their kids have become more disciplined, but he cannot openly defend him because too many teachers disagree with his methods. That same afternoon, Wave members are confronted by the anarchist students and the bullies who once targeted Tim, tensions high after the Wave painted over their graffiti. Just as it is about to turn into a fight, Tim suddenly pulls out a Walther PP pistol he bought online. The gun is unloaded, but no one else knows that. Everyone panics and scatters, convinced it is loaded and ready to fire. Marco tries to get Caro to come to a wave party at the lake, but she refuses. To her, the movement has gone too far, with guns on the website and anonymous posts from students who feel pressured to join. Meanwhile, Tim, feeling ignored by his parents, shows up at Rainer's house and asks to become his personal bodyguard. Rainer tries to calm him down, invites him in, and they cook and eat together. When Anka gets home, she is even more disturbed to find a student showing up looking for a personal bond with her husband. After dinner, Rainer tells Tim to go home, and when Tim refuses, he has to force him out. At the lake party, Marco makes a terrible choice and cheats on Caro with Lisa. Before the night ends, he tells everyone to come to his water polo match the next day, wearing white shirts, so the wave gets even more visibility. Caro, meanwhile, prepares her own response and prints flyers to expose and stop the movement. Friday is the final day. Rainer is shocked to see a newspaper article showing the giant wave logo Tim painted. What Rainer does not know is that Tim slept outside his house all night, and while Rainer was driving him home, the anarchist group ambushed the car and splattered it with red paint as revenge against the wave. At school, wave members have already gathered every anti-wave flyer they can find to burn them. They blame Caro, and Marco plans to confront her after the match. When class starts, Rainer is furious and demands to know who painted the building, calling it reckless and far beyond the project. Since the experiment ends that day, he tells the students to write essays about what they learned. Tim briefly thinks about confessing to the graffiti, but Rainer says he does not want to know and plans to report the vandalism to the principal and the police anyway. He reminds them the point was unity and cooperation, not chaos. At the water polo tournament, even the supporters' bus is covered in wave symbols. Bomber refuses to let anyone sit in the wave section unless they are wearing white. Caro and Mona sneak in through the back and start throwing anti-wave flyers into the crowd. Inside the pool, Sinan gets into a violent fight with an opposing player, and the two nearly drown before Rainer pulls them apart. In the stands, Kevin kicks a spectator, blocking his view, and sparks an even bigger disturbance. Because of the chaos, Marco's team is disqualified. After the match, Anki confronts Rainer and blames his project for everything. She says the wave has turned the students into followers who will obey anything he says. Rainer gets defensive and, instead of admitting she is right, lashes out and brings up her habit of taking calming medication every Monday before work. The comment cuts deep. Anka leaves the house and ignores his attempts to apologize. Marco, furious that Caro handed out flyers during the match, confronts her, and the argument explodes. In a moment of anger, he slaps her hard enough to make her lip bleed. Shocked by what he just did, Marco goes straight to Rainer's house and confesses. He still loves Caro, but he is scared of how much he has changed and the fact that he could hurt someone he cares about. He begs Rainer to end the wave immediately, but Rainer, already wrecked by the collapse of his marriage, sends him away and only promises the principal that he will deal with everything the next day. By now, the whole school understands what the wave has become. What started as a class experiment now looks like a gang, complete with intimidation, vandalism, and symbols spreading across the city. That night, Rainer messages every student to gather the next day, Saturday at noon, in the school auditorium. On Saturday, many members are already waiting inside. Rainer has Tim lock the doors so no one from outside can interfere. Once everyone is seated, he reads excerpts from the essays. Many share the same themes. The students say they felt more comfortable, more positive, and more accepted, and that Rainer taught them not to judge each other by status, race, or religion. Then Rainer pushes even harder. He speaks passionately about Germany, claiming globalization is making life harder, that ordinary people are forced to work harder just to survive, and that the government is a puppet serving business interests. He tells them the wave has a duty to fight injustice and build a better future. Almost everyone agrees with him. Everyone except Marco. Marco stands up and challenges Rainer, saying he is no longer teaching a lesson about autocracy, but actively manipulating them and controlling how they think. In response, Rainer orders the students to drag Marco up onto the stage, and that is when the truth comes out. The entire thing was a test. Rainer wanted to show the students how far they had fallen into the very system they swore could never return. They followed his commands without hesitation, treating him like a charismatic leader whose authority should never be questioned, exactly the way people once followed dictators like Adolf Hitler. At the start of the week, almost every student insisted modern Germany could never fall for a dictator again. Yet within days they embraced the same obedience, conformity, and blind loyalty, and even turned elitist, convinced they were better than everyone else, and shutting out anyone who refused to join. With the lesson finally landing, Rainer apologizes and announces that the wave has to end. Not everyone accepts it. Many students are upset, and no one takes it harder than Tim. For him, the wave was never just a school project. It was the most important thing in his life. Consumed by anger and desperation, he pulls out his gun. This time it is loaded. Without warning, he fires and shoots Bomber. The room freezes in shock. Tim then points the gun at Rainer and reveals how betrayed he feels. Tim never found happiness at home, where his parents barely paid attention to him. The wave changed that. For the first time, he felt valued. He was trusted with real responsibilities like managing the website. He had friends who defended him, and he finally had a place where he belonged. Now, the one thing that gave him purpose is being taken away. Realizing the wave is over and that the police are coming, Tim makes a final, irreversible decision and takes his own life. Not long after, the police arrest Rainer. He is held responsible for letting the movement spiral into extremism, for the vandalism and violence it caused, and for what happened to his students, including Bomber's critical injury and Tim's death. So the moral of the story is, if your school project starts with matching white shirts and ends with police, gunshots, and a cult-like fan club, maybe you took the homework a little too seriously.